In the last episode, we'd explored more of the Algarve, Lisbon in Portugal, and southern Atlantic Spain. But now was the time to start the real trip this summer, into the Med, or bust. But first, to get into the Med, we needed to leave Ayamonte, farewell friendly port, and head out east. But before that, we thought we'd stop at Isla Culatra, which is actually west. You see, last year, Jess, Karen, and I had spent a couple of idyllic days in the river behind this barrier island, and I wanted Charlie to see just how gorgeous it was there. From there we would make an 80-mile overnight passage across the Gulf of Cadiz to the Bay of Cadiz. There we wanted to visit the historic cities of Cadiz and Rota and relax at the friendly Real Club Nautico El Puerto Santa Maria. Not a big marina, but the people were friendly and the shopping was close.
Oh, thank you.
Did you have a good sail yesterday?
Oh, good.
Charlie and I had spent several weeks taking the autopilot apart, as well as changing filters, provisioning, and everything else. All of that was in preparation for crossing the Gulf of Cadiz and then working our way through the Straits of Gibraltar. We had spent nearly 2 months preparing for the next phase of this journey, Ayamonte to, well, somewhere in the Med. I knew we wanted to get past Gibraltar, and we probably wouldn't make it all the way to the Balearics, but somewhere in Spain near Valencia was the general aim. For this summer's voyage, Charlie was joining me to help sail Calypso nearly 300 miles to Gibraltar, before we had an additional crew member join us. Karen's job, unfortunately, meant that she would only be able to join us in mid-July, and by that time, I wanted to be through the Straits of Gibraltar and somewhere in Spain. With the Lisbon crash still fresh in our minds, both of us wanted a more pleasant ending to the next Calypso adventure.
Sporting my racy new look. That's right. It's to keep the burning sun off my pasty white features. We're just leaving Ayamonte on passage to Isla Culatra in Portugal near Faro or Olao, and we will be we'll be there this afternoon sometime. It's about a 5-hour passage. It's not very far. The problem is there's absolutely no wind, so we're motoring right now.
The sail looks so sad.
So what we've done is we've put a line with a hook, stainless steel hook on it, that's hooked across the chain. And what that does is it relieves the tension on the windlass here, so that the windlass isn't being snatched as waves and tide change. And that puts all the weight and all the strain on this line here, which is fine because I can replace lines easily. Okay, well, we're anchored up Isla Culatra over here. Faro down in the distance. Charlotte did a great job of helming us in here. And in this kind of a mooring field, it's important to try to give plenty of room so that you've got room to swing, because we've got 25 meters of chain out. So it's, you know, I wanted 5-to-1 scope. That's 25 meters for a 5-meter depth, which is about right. So that's our scope. So even if it blows up, we should be fine.
Unfortunately, our stay was pretty much a washout. It was cold, rainy, and blowing a hoolie during the night, with the added excitement of dragging our anchor. So we turned in, after a good meal, to get some sleep for the crossing to Cadiz. I sure hope the weather's better tomorrow.
Time to do the pre-checklist. This is our laminated card that shows us everything we need to do to get the boat ready to go. Some silly things maybe, but it's good to have a reminder. Like for instance, we're at anchor, so the shore power does not need to come off because it never went on. But good things like checking the oil and coolant, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, coolant over the min, before the, or behind the max, or below the max. Belt tension about 10 mils push, that's about right. Don't have any leakage really there. That's good. That's off the impeller. Now we take the oil, and you can see. So Charlotte, the anchor alarm went off. Why do you think that is?
You have drifted pretty far from where I'm.
Yeah, what the heck are we doing? Oh, forgot to turn off the anchor alarm. Oops. Just leaving the mouth of the river near Isla Culatra, and we're on passage to Cadiz, so it'll be a nearly 18-hour, 19-hour sail, depending on how much wind we get to push us along. It's supposed to be absolutely dead calm, and right now it's at least a F2, maybe a gusting into F3, so we might actually get some more wind, which would be nice. Going to try to fish for some tuna. I've got these squid-like things that I've heard are pretty good for tuna. So we're going to try some of those. I've just rigged a new set of line on this. I've got my depth swivel, which actually dives the bait down a certain depth and then stays there about, it'll be about 50, well maybe 20 meters down. And if anything bites on it, it pops free and then comes to the surface. Obviously, if we get a tuna on there, we'll know it. If we get anything else on there, probably be a whale. I hope not, because I don't want to hurt a whale. Oh, there we go.
It's strange to be sailing so calmly across this area of the Atlantic. When I think about it, the Gulf of Cadiz has been a maritime conduit for the transport of goods, people, and more importantly, ideas for thousands of years before us. Cadiz City itself is probably one of the oldest continuously settled cities in Europe, having probably been founded, no doubt, on an earlier settlement around 1100 BC. The Gulf of Cadiz transported the Phoenicians and later the Greeks and Romans since at least 1100 BC, and certainly earlier peoples plied the waters of the Gulf as well, exploring and inhabiting the rivers and coasts that were so easily accessible from the sea.
What an absolutely gorgeous day we've had. End of day one. Should only take us another 12 hours, let's say, to get into Cadiz. We've left the mainsail up full. Charlie's on the helm and I'm going to go get some sleep. We've rolled up the Jenny because we were rolling a bit and the Jenny was banging. We're not in a big hurry. We were going to get in there about 5. We don't need to get in there at 5, so if we get in there around noon, that's fine. So it's all in all, it has been a phenomenal day. Probably the best day of sailing. You know, just stretched out whole day of sailing I've ever had. Fantastic. This is for Richard Tatham. We're going to catch a fish. Damn it.
It'll be when you're asleep, though.
It's okay. That's usually when I used to catch fish when I was a kid. Ask my dad.
Yeah, I remember you saying. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Okay, ready?
Ready. Sleep well. Look
There.
what we caught while Dad was asleep.
Caught 2 at the same time, darn it, and one of them got away. So we brought him in and he jumped off. He's like got really big eyes. I don't know what he is. We're gonna have to take a picture and
Look
see.
at it later. I cannot believe we caught a fish. And of course, we caught 2 of them actually while Dad was asleep. We're going to put the line back out, see if we can catch any more. And then they're going to be tasty fried up for dinner tomorrow.
What a magical night. I've seen a couple shooting stars. Milky Way is just so bright, it's unbelievable. It looked like a cloud. I've just picked up the lighthouse on the coast about 20 miles away. So that's kind of interesting and encouraging. It also shows up as an AIS beacon on the chart plotter, which is also an interesting thing. So obviously what we're doing is keeping an eye out for any kind of lights of small fishing vessels so we don't hit anybody that doesn't have AIS, and then obviously also using AIS as much as possible to just make sure that we don't have any big tankers or anything coming in. Now this is going to be really critical as we approach Cadiz too, because of the traffic going in there. All in all, fantastic night, and ELO's Sweet as the Night just came on on my iPhone, just randomly picking some music. What a great song for tonight.
pretty near Porto Santa Maria, El Porto Santa Maria. There's Rota is right there. Cadiz is right over there. So pretty darn close to finding a place to stay. We're probably going to grab a berth for tonight. We've got one reserved at Porto Santa Maria Yacht Club. So we'll try that out. And it's been a long night, but a very good night. Right now I have to get down below and get the courtesy flag and get that changed out because we're still flying our Portuguese courtesy flag. Charlie's asleep below, I hope, getting a little bit of shut-eye. We lost our lovely fishing lure rig, the ones with the big squids on it, about an hour and a half ago. Something pretty damn big hit it and just stripped the line. Just it was just going. When I tried to stop it, it broke. I think it broke the actual swivel at the diver bit. So something quite big, probably a big tuna or something. Anyhow, we'll get a new one. We've had some fun fishing this time. Now we are about, I don't know, 5-6 miles from the entrance to El Porto Santa Maria, where we've reserved a berth. Rota is right here. Cadiz is right there. Got to watch sunrise. It's just been beautiful. We've got one reef in the Jenny and the main out, and we're still doing over 5 knots. It's just been what a sail. Charlie wants me to point this out, but I've already done that in a video, so I'll do it again though. We did lose our lures, our favorite squid lures, to some big ass fish that hit that lure and ran with it, and the line was just being stripped off the reel. I guess what I should have done, the problem was I had a radar target that was beeping at me that it was going to collide. It was on a collision course, and this thing goes off. It's pitch black. I should have actually dumped sails and taken my time to pull that in, but instead I tried to haul it in and lost the rig. But anyhow, it's been a fantastic night. What a sail. What an absolute cracking sail.
And there it was, possibly the best sail Charlie and I had ever had. What a shame that Karen had missed it. After some 20 hours, we were tied up at the Club Nautico Real El Porto Santa Maria. Join us next week as we sail from the Bay of Cadiz past Cape Trafalgar, a place on my historian's bucket list, down to Barbate, still in Spain. And don't forget, as I always say, if you like the video, please click like. And if you want to see more of them, click the subscribe button.